Text comments go to 83981 is the number for texting, and use the red button. Let's take this question, I think, from Carol Fox, please. Carol Fox.
The one certainty of independence after March 2016 would be that Scotland would never again be ruled by a Tory government. Isn't that more than enough reason to vote yes?
Yeah.
So, Margaret Curran, does that put you on the yes side?
Well, there's a curious thing about democracy.
You're thinking about it, Margaret.
Come on. There's a curious thing about democracy, and that is you can't always guarantee what governments are going to be in the future. So let me say to you, do not make a decision, the momentous decision that we have next year, just on the basis you think you can't ever guarantee Tories will never have power and influence in Scotland. Because I tell you, sometimes when I look at Alex Salmond and see some of the things they're doing to the poverty programmes in Scotland, I have my doubts about some of the things that are currently happening in Scotland. They've got a lot of Tories on their side as well.
Listen, if Scotland decide to vote Tory, then Scotland decide to vote Tory, or my granny's bingo party. It doesn't make any difference. The point is Scotland has the choice.
I do believe that Scotland's got a choice. I just don't.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
Eddie, I agree with you on so many things, but I disagree with you.
Are we a country?
Of course we're a country, and we're a very proud nation, and we're all very patriotic to Scotland. You could never question.
Then why do you ignore the mandate of the Scottish people, then?
Can I just say this point? Please, I'm not ignoring the mandate. No, I don't accept that. Please let me...
You know that we vote centre-left all the time, constantly.
Eddie, please let me make this point.
Why can't we have the government that reflects us? Why can't we do that?
Please let me make the point.
There's something wrong with it?
Can I tell you, the last 16 years, Scotland has voted Labour, and Scotland got a Labour government, because Scotland does actually, and we do get to vote in the Scottish Parliament.
Sort of looked like Labour. Had to lean so far to the right, that it was unrecognisable.
The man up there at the back.
And it went to war with Iraq. I voted for that Labour. I voted for you.
I don't have.
And look what it did in terms of poverty and public services, Eddie. You cannot deny that.
Hold on. Enough.
They did their thing, but
Eddie, enough for the moment, please. I want to know, Margaret. Eddie, please, you're having a conversation among yourselves. There are 4 other people here and 120 members of the audience, and I want to go to the gentleman up there at the back, and then I'm going to come to Annabel. Goldie.
I think the real reason Margaret Curran doesn't want independence is because she realises that Labour will never be in power again in the UK. 50 or 250 MPs.
They'll never be in power in the UK. How many elections?
They need the Scottish vote to get into Westminster.
Four governments since 1945, I think. Labour governments have been supported by the Scottish vote and wouldn't have been there if it hadn't happened. Annabel Goldie, what do you say to this question, that the Tories will be dead meat in Scotland if Scotland votes independent?
Well, that's very encouraging. It implies that there is a present state of life which I know there to be. I can understand why the lady poses the question, and I can understand why Eddie launched into her impassioned diatribe. I actually think that there's something much deeper to this about the whole constitutional debate, because actually there are many, many reasons why people may form a view. Now, we've listened to some of the views from both Nicola and Eddi and other members of the audience who favour independence for Scotland. And they can have that view. They're entitled to hold it. I respect that. What I would argue very, very strongly is that if you do believe, and according to the opinion polls, an awful lot of people do believe this, if you do believe that this extraordinary and unusual socio-economic and political union, which is the United Kingdom, has actually worked well for the last 300 years, and that doesn't mean you always get the government you want at Westminster. For, 13 years, I didn't get the government I wanted at Westminster, but I still believed in the concept of the United Kingdom, because I actually think that has served Scotland well. And there's a lot of evidence to demonstrate just how effective that union has been. So what I'm saying is, I think there are deeper and broader and bigger issues that should determine Scottish minds when they make that decision next year. For my own part, I've never said Scotland couldn't be independent. Never said that. Theoretically, Scotland could be independent. That's actually not the question. The question is, which arrangement suits Scotland better. And my argument is, I think we have the best of both worlds. I think we have the benefit of a strong Scottish Parliament, which looks after our domestic issues, and we have that framework of the bigger partnership, which gives us arenas of influence on the international stage. Good heavens, I've seen that to very good effect just in very recent days, whether it's the talks that were taking place about Iran and how we try and stop Iran's nuclear programme, whether it's all the help we're managing to give in the tragic situation confronting the Philippines. We're able to do all that, and we would not actually have these arenas if we were independent. So there are bigger, broader issues than whether you like or don't like the Tories in Scotland.
OK. The woman there on the right.
If Scotland...
No, sorry, no, I was going to the woman in dark blue there.
Me?
Yes.
No wonder people become disinterested in politics when we've seen a display like this evening, just in the last few minutes. People want the facts that they can then make up their own minds. We want the truth. We want to know what is going to happen. So please...
OK, so you can have power with uncertainty, or you can have no power with uncertainty, because nobody can tell us what's going to happen if we stick in the status quo.
But we've got 16 and 17-year-olds who are going to be getting the vote for the first time. They need to be directed. They need to be helped to make up their mind.
They do, and I agree with you.
Therefore, they need the truth. They need the facts.
You can't turn on the TV.
Can't have people bickering.
No, you can't turn on the TV or open a newspaper and get the facts of our deal. I had to find it in the internet. I had to look.
Do you believe there is a truth to be got at?
Yeah, I think
no, I'm not talking to you.
Sorry.
Do you believe there is a truth to be got at, or do you believe it's a matter of judgment, which nobody can actually ascertain at this stage for certain one way or the other?
I don't think we've heard any truth from any of the politicians on this.
If I can just respond to the lady about information. We've published the white paper. I hope people will read it. We've tried to answer as many questions as possible, and we'll answer more if we can. But people are going to have to look at the arguments and come to their own decision. On the democracy point, I mean, I'm, as you've probably gathered, no fan of the Tories, but for me this is not actually an anti-Tory point, it's a pro-democracy point. Never in my life has Scotland voted Tory, and yet for more than half of my life we've had a Tory government. That's just not democratic. That can't be right. With independence, we don't get landed with governments that we've rejected, and I don't understand Labour's position on the referendum, because actually